I earned a whopping $2 billion overnight from live streaming my baby. I thought I'd finally be able to give my precious daughter a comfortable, leisurely life, but unexpectedly, I was in a car crash on the way home. When I opened my eyes again, I had actually transmigrated into a scumbag who was a drunkard and a gambler. A little adorable child was looking at me with a wronged expression. "Daddy, please don't hit mommy anymore." I abruptly opened my eyes wide. A torrent of memories flooded into my mind. The original host was clearly a scumbag who drank and gambled every day. Yet he managed to marry a popular celebrity wife. Later, when their relationship was exposed, his wife resolutely resigned from her job as a singer and even gave birth to a lovely daughter for him. However, after the passionate period ended, the original host was fired from his company due to his own incompetence. He then blamed his inability on his wife, feeling that it was because he married this bad omen that he lost his career. After receiving the original host's memories, I couldn't help but curse under my breath. "You beast!" Then, with a complicated expression, I slowly raised my head and looked towards the corner. The mother and daughter were curled up in a ball, having just been beaten by the original host. Bai Shihan was holding the child. When she saw me staring at her, her body couldn't help but tremble even more. She subconsciously hugged Nuan tighter to her chest, her eyes filled with tears. It wasn't that she hadn't thought about taking Nuan and leaving, but she herself was an orphan, and all the money in the house was controlled by this devil. She had even considered ending her own life, but she couldn't bear to leave her child. What would happen to 3-year-old Nuan if she died? So every time she was beaten, she could only endure it alone, not even daring to cry loudly for fear of frightening the child. After a long time, I sighed deeply, slowly stood up, and turned on the light. The warm orange light illuminated the entire room. The dilapidated furniture and the strong smell of alcohol in the air were overwhelming. Looking at the mess in front of me, I scratched my head helplessly and silently started tidying up. Bai Shihan was still curled up, holding Nuan without moving, but a trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. She knew that this devil never cleaned the house. He would just drink and then sleep every time. This situation was a first. I didn't rush to disturb the mother and daughter. Instead, I grabbed a towel from the kitchen and started cleaning the table. By the time the room was spotless, I was already sweating profusely. After a short rest, I took clean clothes from the bedroom and walked into the bathroom. Bai Shihan looked at the tightly closed bathroom door, then at the room I had just cleaned, her eyes revealing intense incomprehension. He even threw away the remaining alcohol? Why? To say he had become a better person was something she simply didn't believe. A devil was a devil. "Mommy, Nuan is hungry." 3-year-old Nuan opened her big round eyes and looked at her mother. Bai Shihan stroked Nuan's hair. Nuan, be good. Mommy will cook for you in a moment." Nuan nodded sensibly. Even at her young age, she knew that she only got food when her dad was asleep. I pushed the door open after taking a shower and clearly saw the mother and daughters sitting on the old small sofa, both simultaneously shrinking away from me. I shook my head, ignored the two of them, pushed the front door open and walked out. Bai Shihan was stunned, and a trace of despair was in her eyes. "Is he going out to buy alcohol again? Will Nuan and I have to go hungry for another night?" Shihan bit her lip, her face turning pale, and tears fell uncontrollably. Nuan thought her mother was crying because she was hungry. She quickly stretched out her soft little hand and clumsily wiped Bai Shihan's face. "Mommy, don't cry. Nuan isn't hungry anymore." Bai Shihan bit her lip, and her tears fell even harder. After a while, she gently said in a trembling voice, Nuan, be a good girl. Mommy will put you to sleep. You won't be hungry when you're asleep. Mommy will get up early tomorrow and make you something delicious, okay?" Nuan nodded obediently. "Okay, Mommy, don't cry." Bai Shihan held Nuan and slowly stood up. The wounds on her back faintly ached because of her movement. Due to long-term malnutrition, her vision blurred for a moment, but she still struggled to stand up, holding her daughter and walking step by step into the bedroom. Only after lying on the bed did Bai Shihan feel a little better. She softly hummed a lullaby, trying to coax Nuan Nuan to sleep. Watching Nuan slowly close her eyes, Bai Shihan thought about the 2 years of suffering since they got married, feeling incredibly heartbroken. She finally decided that she would leave tomorrow, escaping this hell. Even dying outside would be better than being tortured to death by this devil. Just then, the sound of the door lock turning came from outside. Bai Shihan, lost in her thoughts, couldn't help but tremble again. She subconsciously covered Nuan Nuan's ears and quietly listened to the movement outside. I pushed the door open and subconsciously looked at the sofa. I couldn't help but be stunned. They went back to the bedroom, but they don't seem to have eaten yet. I stared blankly at the food in my hands. After thinking for a moment, I placed the food on the table and walked towards the bedroom. Bai Shihan had been tense all over. She heard my footsteps slowly approaching. She quickly closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep, praying in her heart that I wouldn't come in. But in the next moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. "I bought you some food. Come out and eat if you're hungry. I'll sleep in the side room tonight." Hearing the familiar voice, Bai Shihan abruptly opened her eyes. Then, she heard my footsteps gradually move away. The room immediately became quiet again. Only Bai Shihan's nervous breathing echoed in the bedroom. Nuan had opened her eyes at some point. She clearly heard my voice and was staring curiously at the closed door. That smelly daddy didn't come back to the room to sleep today? And it seems he even said he bought me food? Thinking of the food, she felt hungry again. She swallowed hard and looked at her mother with anticipation. The situation was too bizarre, leaving Bai Shihan at a loss. But seeing her daughter's expectant eyes, she still mustered up the courage, tiptoed quietly to the bedroom door, and opened it. The aroma of the food on the dining table assailed her nostrils. Bai Shihan's eyes immediately became moist. The food in the distance became hazy. He really bought food for her and her daughter? Facing this sudden kindness from the devil, Bai Shihan felt not happiness, but a profound fear from the bottom of her heart. Why is he acting this way? What else does he want from me? Nuan, with her bare feet and short little legs, also ran over, peering out through the crack in the door. Then her eyes suddenly lit up, and saliva unconsciously dripped out. But she didn't act on her own. Instead, she raised her head, staring unblinkingly at her mother. Bai Shihan helplessly closed her eyes, then looked at her daughter's expectant gaze, took a deep breath, and then forced a smile. She picked up Nuan. "Shh! Nuan, be good. Let's eat quietly." Nuan happily closed her eyes and hurriedly nodded her small head. I, in the room of course, heard the sounds outside. I sighed deeply again. After going out to get a haircut and buy food, I realized that there was only a little over 1,800 in savings left in this house. If I had transmigrated a little later, this family probably wouldn't have been able to afford food. Time to make some money. After pondering for a moment, I suddenly became excited. How could I have been so slow to realize? This is a parallel world. I quickly picked up my phone and continuously scrolled through this world's information. Sure enough, as in my memory, the cultural heritage and the entertainment industry were completely different from my original world. In particular, this world's entertainment level was quite stagnant. Some frankly mediocre songs, which made me frown, were even dominating the hot song charts. My mind quickly recalled classic songs one by one. As I thought, I gradually couldn't stay awake and could only drag my exhausted body slowly into dreamland. At 6 a.m. the next morning, I stretched and gently opened the door of the side room and walked out. The dining table and kitchen had been cleaned spotlessly. Bai Shihan must have tidied up after eating last night. I stood in place and thought for a moment. Bai Shihan usually gets up at 8 a.m. to cook, because the original me would sleep until past 10 a.m. Only after I woke up and finished drinking would the mother and daughter be able to eat my leftovers. I subconsciously sighed again. Bai Shihan in the room was actually already awake. She didn't dare to go out. The noise outside stopped, the door sounded, and then closed again. Bai Shihan pursed her lips, staring at the bedroom door, feeling somewhat curious about where I had gone out to this time. She waited for a long time, and there was still no movement outside. Bai Shihan glanced at Nuan, who was still sound asleep beside her. After thinking about it, she still plucked up the courage, quietly got out of bed, opened the bedroom door, and walked out. The smell of alcohol in the room had become very faint. Fresh air blew in through the window and smelled very nice. This situation gave Bai Shihan a sense of unreality. It had been a long, long time since she had smelled this fresh scent. The house could feel comfortable like this again? Bai Shihan walked to the window and looked out at the world. She unconsciously stared blankly. Only at this moment did she suddenly remember that she was only 24 years old. She didn't know how long passed before the sound of the front door opening was heard again. Bai Shihan was completely startled. Then, she subconsciously tensed up and mechanically turned around. I was also awkwardly frozen in place. I hadn't expected Bai Shihan to be awake. I woke up this morning and found there were no ingredients in the house, so I just bought some meat, vegetables, and rice. Both of us were stunned. Only then did I fully see the appearance of my wife in front of me. She was very beautiful, much more beautiful than the internet celebrities and stars in my world. Especially her eyes, they seemed to speak. But right now, these eyes were full of terror and unease. And she was too thin, her face excessively pale. This was likely due to lack of sunlight and malnutrition for a long time. Seeing this, my heart felt a mixture of pain, hatred, and embarrassment. The original host was too much of a beast. To treat such a beautiful woman this way is unforgivable. I was the first to break the awkward silence. Good morning. I'm going to cook first. After saying that, I lowered my head, not daring to look at her anymore, and quickly walked into the kitchen with the groceries. Bai Shihan could hardly believe her ears and eyes. He actually greeted me? And when did he learn how to cook? Bai Shihan silently watched the busy figure in the kitchen. A tremendous sense of grievance welled up in her heart. She bit her lip tightly, and her eyes gradually became moist. What is this supposed to mean? Pitying me? Having a change of heart? Nuan woke up. When she saw Bai Shihan in the living room, she ran out barefoot. As soon as she came out, she smelled the aroma of the food and turned her big eyes towards the kitchen. I, in the kitchen, naturally saw the little one. I grinned and smiled at the little one, but unexpectedly, Nuan was scared and quickly shrank behind Bai Shihan. I rubbed my nose helplessly, feeling a sudden tightness in my chest, as if there wasn't enough oxygen. The meal was ready soon. I took off the apron and looked at the two people still timidly standing in the distance. Wash up and come eat. Nuan was clearly already swallowing her saliva, but she still didn't move. Bai Shihan looked at this scene with some shock. I was initially a bit hopeful, but seeing their defensive attitude, my hopes sank to the bottom of the sea. I was silent for a moment, then sighed again. You two eat first. With that, I turned around and went back to the side room. Bai Shihan didn't move. She watched the side room door close, then looked down at the expectation in her daughter's eyes. She also sighed in her heart. Nuan, let's go wash your hands and eat. Hearing this, Nuan's eyes immediately lit up. Mommy, did Daddy make this for Nuan? Bai Shihan was momentarily speechless. She looked at her daughter's expectant eyes and finally nodded. Seeing her mother's affirmation, Nuan's eyes became even brighter. She couldn't wait to scoop up a spoonful of egg custard and put it in her mouth. This is the first time Daddy has cooked for me. It's really delicious. Bai Shihan just ate silently. Her heart was very conflicted and confused. I was sitting at the desk in the side room, actually very hungry. But I knew that the mother and daughter outside couldn't handle sitting at the same table as me to eat right now. Sigh. What a mess. I took out my phone, opened this world's short video app, logged out of the old account that still had a few thousand followers, and registered a new one. I habitually clicked on the trending topics list. In the next moment, my brows furrowed. What kind of garbage is this song? When did mediocre bandwagon singers start dominating the trending list? I immediately had a plan. I dug out a few sheets of sheet music paper that had been tucked away in the desk for a long time. These were left behind by Bai Shihan previously. I spread the sheet music paper flat on the desk, lightly hummed a familiar tune, and my pen flew across the paper, writing the guitar tab. I was a songwriter in my original world. This small task was no problem for me. In just a short while, a complete score appeared before me. I couldn't wait to pull out a guitar from the nearby closet, then sat squarely at the desk with the guitar. I gathered my emotions for a moment. In the next second, I closed my eyes, and my fingers gently strummed the strings. As the sound of the guitar came from the room, Bai Shihan, who was silently eating, suddenly froze. She turned her head again to look at the tightly closed door, her eyes filled with surprise. Bai Shihan knew I couldn't play the guitar. But what's going on now? Even Nuan, who was happily eating, was drawn in by the singing. She stopped the spoon in her hand and looked towards the closed door of the side room. So gentle. This was the first time she had heard such a gentle daddy. Even though Bai Shihan had never heard this song, she could feel its quality. Such a beautiful melody and such touching lyrics. It was hard for her to imagine this coming from the mouth of a devil. The guitar sound remained gentle, and my singing still drifted into her ears. The large and small beauties sitting at the dining table were both stunned. It wasn't until the next line of the song rang out that Bai Shihan could no longer hold back. Her shoulders began to tremble slightly, and tears fell one by one. 2 years. It's been 2 whole years. Every day of constant fear and worry these 2 years. She hadn't listened to music for 2 years. She hadn't left the house for 2 years. Every day she faced the trivialities of life, a messy house, and a husband who was slowly turning into a devil. Now, just as she finally mustered the courage to try and escape, what does he mean by singing this? What does it mean that he suddenly changed? Bai Shihan was on the verge of collapse. She was lost again. She was afraid this was a short-lived dream, and once the dream was over, everything would return to the starting point. The singing stopped at that moment. Nuan also discovered her mother's crying. She climbed onto Bai Shihan's lap in a panic, reaching out her small hands to try and wipe away her mother's tears. "Mommy, don't cry, don't cry. Nuan will blow on it for you." Nuan thought her mother was hurting again. While wiping Bai Shihan's tears, she lifted her little face, pulled open Bai Shihan's collar, and blew on it. Beneath the collar, Bai Shihan's back was covered with scars and purple-red marks. I didn't know what was happening outside the door. At this moment, I opened my phone and clicked on video recording, performing the song completely. Once the song was over, I saved the recording and uploaded it. I softly exhaled. Finally finished. Now I'll just quietly wait for the public reaction. After doing all this, I put the guitar back in the closet, then rubbed my rumbling, hungry stomach. Knowing the mother and daughter were finished eating, I finally couldn't wait any longer. I gently pushed open the door, leaving a crack, and peered out like a thief. I happened to see Bai Shihan holding Nuan and leaving the dining table. Her eyes were red, as if she had just cried. Bai Shihan clearly saw me too. After a brief moment of being stunned, she quickly returned to the master bedroom with the child. I breathed a sigh of relief, pushed the door open, and walked to the dining table. Finally, I can eat. I was a little happy looking at the food clearly left for me on the table. After eating, I wandered around the room feeling bored. Just then, the master bedroom door was suddenly opened again. I looked in the direction of the sound and saw a small head peeking out. It was Nuan. She tilted her head and curiously looked me over. Seeing Nuan, I subconsciously wanted to smile. But before my lips could even curve, I saw Nuan get scared and quickly close the door and scamper back. Bai Shihan's clear voice could be heard in the room. She was soothing the child. I rubbed my nose innocently. Time quietly passed. I spent 4 hours scrolling through my phone. At noon, I put down my phone, rubbed my temples, and stood up. Time to make lunch. Just then, the bedroom door was opened. Expressionless, Bai Shihan came out of the bedroom, holding a pile of clothes. She seemed to not see me standing in front of the sofa and walked straight towards the bathroom. I clearly saw her body stiffen when she came out. Is she going to do the laundry? I suddenly remembered that my clothes were still in the washing machine from yesterday and I hadn't taken them out. Thinking of this, I also quickly walked towards the bathroom. Bai Shihan was very nervous. She hadn't expected me to still be home. Usually, by this time, I would have gone out to drink with my shady friends. Hearing my footsteps getting closer to her, she immediately became even more nervous. Her heartbeat started to race, and her body trembled slightly. My clothes are still in the washing machine. Could I take them out and hang them up first? My familiar voice rang out from behind her. Bai Shihan, who was bending over to open the washing machine door, was startled. Her body even staggered, causing her to retreat further into the bathroom. "Be careful," I couldn't help but say. Bai Shihan finally realized that I was asking for her permission. Her eyes darted around, not daring to look at me, but she still said, "Okay, you go ahead. Thank you." I nodded. My hands suddenly trembled, and the anger and heartache in my eyes were undisguised. I had just clearly seen the purple-red welts on Bai Shihan's neck. Although I had the memory of this beast, when I saw it with my own eyes, I truly couldn't imagine how there could be such a cruel person in this world. I took the clothes out of the washing machine and didn't continue to look at her. At this moment, my mind was racing with thoughts. "I'll make lunch in a moment. Remember to call Nuan out to eat." Nuan is asleep. I'll call him to get up later." Bai Shihan shrank away again, looking extremely flustered, even incoherent when speaking. I knew my presence would only stress her out. I quickly grabbed the clothes from the washing machine, went out onto the balcony to hang them, and then walked into the kitchen. In the bathroom, Bai Shihan, holding the laundry, was still rooted to the spot. Only when the cooking sound started coming from the kitchen did she snap out of it. She tremblingly put the clothes into the washing machine, her gaze unconsciously drifting toward the kitchen. What is wrong with him? He's cooking for the child and me again. Hearing the sound of the machine tumbling, Bai Shihan's heart was incredibly complicated. Not until all the clothes were washed and she took them to the balcony to hang did she notice that the man had been busy and enthusiastic in the kitchen the entire time. Nuan didn't wait for Bai Shihan to call her. She woke up on her own. Still barefoot, she pushed open the door, her little hands rubbing her sleepy, blurry eyes. The next moment, when she saw me busy in the kitchen, a bright spark clearly lit up in her beautiful eyes. Then, she curiously leaned against the kitchen door frame, watching my back. Bai Shihan, having finished hanging the clothes, turned around and saw this scene. She was completely terrified. She quickly spun around, leaned her back against the wall, covered her face with her hands, and slowly crouched down, tears silently falling. This was a scene she had only dreamed of long, long ago. I still didn't eat at the same table with the mother and daughter. After setting the food on the table, I hurried out of the house. Hearing the door close, Bai Shihan hastily wiped the tear stains from her face, stood up, and carried Nuan to the dining table. On the table were still 2 meat dishes and 2 vegetable dishes, along with 2 bowls of pre-served rice and a bowl of steamed egg. Bai Shihan stared blankly at the colorful, fragrant, and delicious food on the table for a long time before slowly sitting down. No one knew how complex her feelings were at the moment. Even she didn't know what she was thinking. The food was as delicious as breakfast. The little one was already happily eating the steamed egg. However, the peacefulness of their lunch was quickly broken by the sound of the door opening. They subconsciously looked up and saw me pushing the door open, carrying a large bag of things. Nuan snuggled closer to Bai Shihan, the small spoon she was using to dig the steamed egg still held to her mouth, completely still. Her big eyes followed my movements. I lowered my gaze, not daring to look at the startled mother and daughter. I simply walked over to the sofa, set down the bag in my hands, and then spoke, my voice a little muffled. "I bought you some ointment. Remember to use it. Also, I bought the child a toy. I don't know if she'll like it, but I saw other little girls have them, so she should have one too." Bai Shihan didn't respond. I paused after speaking. "I know you won't believe me, but there are some things I still need to say. I won't drink anymore. I won't hit you anymore. You and Nuan don't need to be so afraid when you're home. The child is still small, and this atmosphere is not good for her." I said it all in one breath, feeling that the pent-up frustration in my heart had eased considerably. I didn't wait for Bai Shihan's reply and silently walked back into the side room. Bai Shihan watched my retreating figure disappear, her mood incredibly complex. Faced with this man's sudden change, she found it difficult to let down her guard. My mood inside the bedroom was even heavier. Tears were welling up in my eyes. I was having a hard time dealing with transmigrating into this scumbag's body, especially seeing the scars on Bai Shihan's body. My heart felt even heavier. After spending just 1 day in this house, my heart felt close to breaking point from the suppression. I truly couldn't understand why anyone could harbor such great malice toward their own family. Bai Shihan still left some food for me after eating. She washed her and Nuan's bowls and chopsticks, looked at the bag on the table, thought about it, and finally led Nuan back to the master bedroom. She genuinely found it difficult to accept this sudden kindness. Who knew if it was a trap he had set to disarm her? Furthermore, she had long become accustomed to the pain on her body. She just didn't know what else he was trying so desperately to get from her. After experiencing a brief moment of gentleness for a day, she was extremely afraid that the previous days would return. She even had a slight hope in her heart. What if he would continue to be like this, just like today, as long as she didn't accept his kindness? She only hoped his current behavior could last for one more day. Just one more day. I heard the door close next door, knowing that the mother and daughter were finished eating. Only then did I get up and walk out of the room. Then I saw that the bag on the coffee table was still unopened, resting quietly in its original spot. I sighed, unsure what to do, and could only sit down and sullenly eat my meal. Just then, the master bedroom door unexpectedly opened again. Nuan poked out her little head again, curiously staring at me as I ate. I tried to grin and smile at her again. This time, I finally got my wish. The little one wasn't scared away and continued to curiously look at me eating. My heart relaxed a little. This soft, adorable little one healed a lot of the heaviness in my heart. I put down my chopsticks and, in the gentlest voice I could muster in my life, called out to the little one, Nuan. My sudden utterance made the little one tremble slightly, but she still didn't retreat. Instead, she turned to look into the master bedroom, and then, as if receiving some encouragement, she looked back at me. A tender, soft child's voice came from her mouth. "Daddy." Hearing this voice, my entire body shook, my eyes instantly moistened, and the smile on my face was as bright as a blooming chrysanthemum. This was the most beautiful melody I had heard since transmigrating. Nuan tilted her little head, looking at the daddy who was crying and laughing, seemingly curious why someone could laugh while shedding tears. I gently, responding to the little one. Then I stood up and walked to the sofa, took out the newly bought doll from the bag, and gently shook it in front of Nuan. Nuan blinked her big eyes, seeming to stir. She looked at the doll in my hand, then turned her head to look into the master bedroom. After a long moment, she slowly shuffled towards me. At this moment, my heart was pounding like a drum. I looked at this little girl, who was like a small angel. I even felt like I had to stop breathing, fearing that I would scare this little one who had finally taken a step toward me. Nuan only knew that Daddy would make her delicious food and was now holding a toy she liked. He probably won't be mean to Mommy and me anymore. She walked up to me, raised her little face, sniffed hard, and then flashed a happy smile. Daddy doesn't smell stinky. Happy! Nuan, do you think the doll in Daddy's hand is pretty? Looking at the small, adorable child in front of me, I spoke to Nuan with the utmost tenderness and sincerity. Nuan's small hands moved, seemingly wanting to take the doll from my hand, but she still didn't have the courage to reach out. She just looked at me intently with her clear, bright eyes. My eyes were fixed on Nuan, and I naturally saw her movement. So I slowly squatted down until I was level with Nuan, and gently placed the toy in her hand. When my finger touched Nuan's small hand, I felt my whole body contract. Nuan finally received the toy she liked. Her gaze shifted from me to the doll. Her little fingers stroked the doll's soft, long skirt, and her eyes immediately curved into crescent moons. Looking at the little one's joyful expression as she held the toy, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. Especially up close, seeing Nuan's dry hair, thin little face, and the clothes she was wearing, which were washed, faded, and clearly too small. My heart instantly felt a stabbing pain. She was only 3 years old, an age when she should be cherished, yet she was overjoyed because of a small toy. I bit my lip, quickly wiped my eyes, and forced a smile. Just like that, I quietly watched Nuan play beside me. At this moment, there was nothing else in my eyes. Bai Shihan in the master bedroom was extremely nervous. She didn't know if this was the right or wrong thing to do, but she agreed with what I had said earlier. The child is still small and shouldn't grow up in this kind of atmosphere. Allowing the child to get closer to him was the most she could do right now. The occasional laughter outside, ringing like silver bells, made Bai Shihan tear up involuntarily. She just sat quietly on the bed, silently wiping her tears. Not long after, Nuan seemed to get tired from playing. She hugged the doll tightly, glanced at the daddy who was still smiling foolishly at her, a conflicted look on her little face, and then turned and ran back to the bedroom with a thump, thump, thump. I just stared blankly as the little one's figure disappeared, rubbed my nose, and silently chuckled. Looks like I need to buy this little one a pair of proper slippers. Going barefoot all the time isn't a good habit. Time flowed slowly. Dinner was still 3 dishes and 1 soup, made by me. As usual, I let the mother and daughter eat first before I went in for the clean plate campaign. I went to bed early tonight. What I didn't know was that in just one night, the song "You Are in My Life" had exploded online. At 10 p.m. that night, the video successfully climbed to the 5th spot on the Douyin trending search list, and the popularity was still rising. By 6 a.m. the next morning, the number of likes on this video on DN had reached a terrifying 500,000, and the comment count was more than 200,000. You have to know that when some big influencers get hundreds of thousands of likes, having tens of thousands of comments is already impressive. So this comment conversion rate was ridiculously high, and my follower count had surpassed 1 million overnight. Becoming a 1 million follower influencer overnight with just 1 song and 1 video. Of course, most of these followers were fans of this particular video. If I didn't produce songs of the same quality as this video in the future, I would quickly be forgotten by most people. I got up at 5 a.m. I still didn't know that my song had gone viral. After a quick wash-up, I left the house for my morning exercise. When I returned home, the time was already 7:40 a.m. As soon as I pushed the door open, I came face to face with Bai Shihan, who was just coming out of the bathroom after washing up. When she saw me, she flinched, looking a little panicked. She looked at me, sweaty from the exercise, feeling somewhat lost, but still hastily said, "I didn't know you went out. I'll go make breakfast right now." I was stunned for a moment, feeling a bit awkward in this situation, but quickly replied, Nuan is still sleeping." Bai Shihan pursed her lips, lowered her head, and mm-hmmed. She felt her heart rate quicken. The warm, sunny scent of my post-exercise body made her very uncomfortable. She was flustered and subconsciously avoided me, hurrying toward the kitchen. "You go look after Nuan. I'll make breakfast after I shower. Is there anything you'd like to eat?" My slightly ingratiating voice came from behind her. Bai Shihan's footsteps paused. After a long moment, a soft, trembling voice came from her mouth. No, you can make whatever. I'll go check on the child." With that, Bai Shihan quickened her pace, fleeing into the bedroom. I looked at the closed bedroom door and shrugged helplessly. After taking a shower, I felt terribly hungry, and the original host's craving for alcohol was also acting up. It was very uncomfortable, so I could only cook while frantically drinking hot water to alleviate it. Nuan woke up too. After Bai Shihan helped her wash up, she leaned against the kitchen doorframe, watching me cook. She was still holding the doll I had given her yesterday. I turned around and saw the little one. I grinned, giving Nuan an ant-like smile, and gently asked, Nuan, what would you like for breakfast this morning? Daddy will make it for you." Nuan tilted her little head and thought seriously for a long time. Then her big eyes curved into crescents. "Egg. Nuan loves steamed egg," I replied indulgently. "All right, then it's steamed egg." After speaking, I reached out my hand, intending to rub Nuan's little head, but quietly retracted it. I was afraid of startling the little angel in front of me. "Take it slow. No rush," I thought to myself. Nuan was clearly slowly accepting me. This gave me hope. My mood improved considerably, and even the alcohol craving and hunger seemed to fade away. Breakfast was still generous: 1 meat, 2 vegetables, and, of course, Nuan's requested steamed egg. I, as usual, returned to my small bedroom, letting the mother and daughter eat first. However, things were better than before. There was noticeably more laughter and chatting between the two outside while they ate. In the side room, I lay on the bed, picked up my phone, which I had set to silent, wanting to check the video's performance. As soon as I unlocked my phone, I was shocked. Holy cow, how many notifications are there? All the background messages had reached 99 plus. I trembling cleared the notifications. I swallowed hard and clicked into my account homepage. The sight of over 1 million followers on the page almost blinded me. Over 1 million overnight. With an excited heart, I continued to click on the video. Over 2 million likes! And when I looked at the comment section, it was overwhelmingly positive, full of praise. I also looked at the private message interface of my account. It was basically all advertisers seeking cooperation and various guild recruitment offers. I ignored them, because the next step was to witness the earnings. I clicked into the Douyin backend. The earnings that greeted my wallet made me grin. Without taking any advertisements, in just one day, this video, relying only on traffic, generated a terrifying income of 320,000 RMB. Seeing the earnings, I immediately felt relieved. I have money! Life no longer had to be so tight. When I had only a little over 1,000 RMB as my entire savings before, I was careful even buying vegetables. Now with this first pot of gold, my mood was naturally much more relaxed. After transferring the earnings to my bank account, I waited until I heard the sound of the door outside, indicating the two were finished eating, before I quickly pushed the door open to eat breakfast. After breakfast, I hurried out of the house. I walked straight to the shopping mall from memory. First, I bought Bai Shihan a phone, and then I purchased a large pile of other things. I was busy until 10:30 a.m. Fully loaded, I happily returned home following the large delivery truck specially used by the mall to transport goods. The life of the wealthy is indeed all about buying, buying, buying. This feeling was awesome. After I left home, Bai Shihan brought Nuan out of the bedroom. Bai Shihan cleaned the house thoroughly, top to bottom, then sat on the sofa, looking at the clear blue sky outside the window. After 2 days of ventilation, the house was already free of alcohol smell. Fresh air constantly blew in through the windows, making her feel exceptionally comfortable. Nuan was lying next to Bai Shihan, playing with her newly acquired doll. Her big eyes were already curved into crescent moons. Her smiles had visibly increased these past 2 days, and she had become much more cheerful. This was something Bai Shihan dared not even imagine before. Watching the happily playing Nuan, Bai Shihan's lips unconsciously curved into a small arc. This kind of life is truly wonderful. Then, Bai Shihan suddenly froze. She touched the corner of her mouth in disbelief, and then saw the ointment still quietly sitting on the coffee table. I was smiling? It turns out, I can still smile. Bai Shihan sank into contemplation. In the living room, only the sound of Nuan playing remained. The sudden sound of the door lock turning startled Bai Shihan out of her thoughts. And Nuan also quickly climbed up, hugging her doll, and burrowed into Bai Shihan's arms. Noisy sounds came from outside, and my familiar voice followed. Hey, slow down, don't scratch anything. You need to lift it up when you move it inside. Bai Shihan was a little flustered. She quickly picked up Nuan, wanting to retreat back to the bedroom, but her eyes couldn't help but look outside curiously. My figure and that of a strange man first appeared in her sight. They were moving a cream-colored, cloud-style sofa into the room. When I saw Bai Shihan, my eyes clearly lit up and my face showed cheerful joy. Could you trouble you to pour a few glasses of hot water for me? The workers can take a break once they finish. Good, I'll go pour it now. Bai Shihan, who hadn't interacted with outsiders for a long time, was a little flustered. But she quickly reacted, holding Nuan and hurrying into the kitchen. The workers and I moved the newly purchased sofa into the house and carried the old one out. Then came the TV and the refrigerator, item after item. I seemed tireless. I personally helped the workers move everything in, and with each piece of new furniture entering the house, the place instantly transformed. The old, worn look was immediately replaced by a fresh, vibrant atmosphere. Bai Shihan stood in the kitchen as if she'd seen a ghost. Watching this sudden change, her expression moving from shock to disbelief and finally to confusion. Her arms around Nuan tightened unconsciously. Nuan, who had been looking around curiously at the new furniture, looked up at her mother with a wronged expression after being squeezed too tightly. "Mommy is mean and hurt me." Fortunately, Bai Shihan quickly realized, adjusted to a more comfortable hold, and apologetically kissed Nuan Nuan's cheek. While soothing Nuan Nuan, she watched me, who had just finished working in the living room. I was negotiating with the workers about the old, discarded furniture. I finally sold all of it for 800 yuan. Bai Shihan felt a pang of regret. Although the furniture was old, it was all still perfectly fine. 800 yuan was too little. However, what she was more curious about was where I got all this money. According to her calculations, the family should have been nearly broke. After seeing the workers off, I returned to the living room with a large bag in hand, placed it on the new coffee table, and flopped onto the soft sofa. The mother and daughter were still standing foolishly in the kitchen. Nuan had now been put down by Bai Shihan. She hugged her mother's thigh, looking around like a curious baby, clearly examining the new things in the house. Seeing the little one like this, I smiled, my eyes crinkling into slits, and suddenly felt a great sense of accomplishment. From the large bag on the coffee table, I poured out a big pink toy and placed it on the table. Sure enough, Nuan Nuan's attention was immediately drawn to the toy. One of her small hands was still clutching her old doll, while the other held onto the hem of Bai Shihan's shirt. Her head was slightly craned forward, trying to see clearly what toy I was holding. The sight of her wanting to come over yet not daring to made my nose sting with sadness. A 3-year-old child in any other family would have happily rushed into their father's arms by now. My initial sense of accomplishment instantly vanished. I quietly clenched my fist, then relaxed it, stretched out my hand, and beckoned to Nuan Nuan, saying to her with affection, "Nuan Nuan, come quickly and see what Daddy bought you." Nuan didn't rush over immediately. She first raised her little face and looked at her mother. Seeing Bai Shihan's lips move without saying anything, Nuan reluctantly walked over. I had already opened the toy's packaging, revealing its true form. "Wow! It's a princess house!" "Oh no, the princess's house is messy." Nuan, do you want to help Daddy decorate the little princess's home?" Hearing my words, Nuan's bright eyes clearly showed desire. Her little body shuffled closer to the sofa, right up to my leg. Nuan blinked her big eyes, glanced at me, and then tentatively raised her small hand until it touched the little princess doll in my hand. Bai Shihan, standing nearby, involuntarily held her breath, her gaze fixed on Nuan's outstretched little hand. I maintained my smile, placed the little princess in Nuan's hand, and tried to cup Nuan's small hand with my large one. As her warm little hand rested in my palm, the corner of my mouth lifted slightly. Holding Nuan's small hand with one hand and offering a small dress with the other, my gentle voice sounded again. "I'm counting on Nuan to dress the little princess. Daddy is so clumsy. Can Nuan teach Daddy? Daddy's hand is so warm, warmer than Mommy's." Nuan looked at the little princess doll in front of her, then looked at the seemingly wronged me, and suddenly smiled. "Daddy is clumsy. Nuan will teach Daddy." The little one smiled, revealing her tiny white teeth, and her almond eyes turned into 2 curved crescent moons. She leaned against my thigh, took the small dress I handed her, and awkwardly tried to put it on the little princess. I also laughed, humbly accepting the little one's guidance. At this moment, the small room suddenly brightened. The mother and daughter's happy laughter echoed in the living room. This was the first time in Nuan's 3 years that she had huddled in her father's arms to play, feeling his unique warmth. Bai Shihan leaned against the doorframe, quietly watching this beautiful scene, her eyes moist. The mother and daughter didn't play for long. Nuan was still decorating the princess under my guidance. I looked up and saw Bai Shihan spacing out at the kitchen doorframe. Her washed, faded, light blue shirt was particularly glaring at that moment, making me narrow my eyes. That looks like a matching parent-child outfit. In a flash, I suddenly remembered that it was indeed a matching outfit that Bai Shihan had secretly bought behind the original host's back for Nuan's 2nd birthday. Later, when the original host discovered it, Bai Shihan was beaten, and her phone was also sold by the original host. Remembering this past event, I fell silent. The next second, I stumbled to my feet, covered my mouth, and rushed into the bathroom, starting to vomit frantically. Only now did I truly understand what kind of nauseating and angry feeling a person with a conscience gets when reviewing such behavior from a first-person perspective. This sudden turn of events frightened the mother and daughter outside badly. Bai Shihan was so scared that she shivered, quickly walked to the sofa, and pulled Nuan into her arms. Nuan vigorously burrowed into Bai Shihan's embrace, terrified that the daddy who had just finished vomiting would suddenly leap out and start beating and scolding her and her mother as before. Every time daddy made such a commotion, he would be as scary as a man-eating tiger. After a while, I walked out of the bathroom, looking disheveled. My eyes were bloodshot. Looking at the startled Bai Shihan and Nuan, I felt even worse inside, and my stomach was still churning uncontrollably. But I forced myself to endure the discomfort and spoke to them weakly. "I'm sorry. Did I scare you? I'm just a little unwell." Just thinking about the original host's actions made me constantly nauseous, especially since I was now occupying his body. I felt as if thousands of ants were crawling all over me. Seeing Bai Shihan and Nuan still looking at me with vigilance, I sighed heavily. I walked past the child holding Bai Shihan and silently entered the kitchen, picking up vegetables to wash. "Nuan probably hasn't finished playing. You play with her for a bit. I'll make lunch." Bai Shihan carefully glanced at my profile. This profile was so familiar, yet so strange. Finally, she nodded, carried Nuan, and sat down where I had been sitting. Nuan secretly peeked out from her mother's arms. After realizing that daddy was still the gentle daddy, a smile finally appeared on her little face. The parent-child activity unexpectedly ended and turned into free time for the mother and daughter. Not until lunch was ready and the aroma of the food drifted into the living room did Bai Shihan see me quietly return to the side room after placing the food on the table. The corner of her mouth moved slightly, but she couldn't utter a single word. While eating, Nuan, holding her little spoon, suddenly turned to look at her mother. Her small brow furrowed a puzzled expression on her face. "Mommy, why isn't Daddy eating with us?" Bai Shihan was slowly chewing a piece of stir-fried meat, her favorite dish. Both before and after marriage, she rarely ate spicy food because I, the original host, couldn't eat spicy food. Hearing her daughter's question, Bai Shihan unconsciously turned her head toward the side room, then turned back to look at her puzzled daughter. She suddenly smiled. A smile as bright as a spring flower blooming. "That's because Daddy and Mommy aren't ready yet, okay?" The little one didn't understand. Her small brow furrowed even more. Her tiny brain couldn't comprehend her mother's words. I was spaced out in the bedroom. I knew my sudden vomiting was due to psychological issues, but I couldn't change anything. Even if I constantly reassured myself subconsciously that it wasn't my fault, it still didn't change the fact that I was him. Helpless, I could only pick up my phone and scroll through videos to distract myself. My work was still high on the trending list, and many comments were urging me to release a new song, but I didn't have any interest in that right now. Making money was a means, not an end. The video was still slowly generating income. Although the income would decrease day by day and might stop completely within a few days, the current money was entirely sufficient for the family's daily life. There was no need to release another video just for money. Just then, the sound of dishes being washed came from outside. I put down my phone, pushed open the bedroom door, and walked out. Food was still left for me on the dining table. Bai Shihan was in the kitchen washing dishes, and Nuan had run back to the sofa, playing with her new toy. The doll I had given her previously was also placed inside the princess house, lying side by side with the little princess on the small sofa inside the house. Seeing Daddy come out, Nuan wasn't as afraid as before. She just looked at me with her big, clear eyes, the expectation in her gaze obvious. The little one just wanted Daddy to keep playing toys with her. I smiled and walked over, gently stroking her little head. But I didn't stay to play with the little one. Instead, I sat down on the sofa and turned to look towards the kitchen. Seeing that Daddy didn't intend to play with her, Nuan pouted in disappointment. She propped herself up on the edge of the sofa, then sat down next to me, playing by herself. Bai Shihan had just walked out of the kitchen and saw me staring at her. Her heart instantly tensed up. She didn't know where to put her hands and could only helplessly clutch the corner of her clothes. Seeing Bai Shihan's submissive, timid look, I couldn't help but frown and sighed inwardly. It was precisely her gentle and reserved nature that allowed the devil of the past to bully her so fearlessly. Thinking of this, my slight frown eased. I took the new phone I had bought from the coffee table and placed it on the table. "I bought you a phone. See if you like it. Also, there are some things I'd like to discuss with you. Can you come sit down?" Bai Shihan was originally looking down. Only after hearing my words did she look up at me. Her eyes first met my clean, clear gaze, and then she saw the brand new phone box on the table. Bai Shihan hesitated for a moment, then quietly, slowly walked to the sofa and sat down. "What? What is it you want to discuss?" Her voice was very soft, requiring me to strain my ears to hear clearly. I didn't answer. Instead, I picked up the phone box on the table and unboxed it myself. The new sky blue phone was taken out. I removed the protective film and powered it on. The pleasant boot-up chime sounded. I quickly set it up and handed it to Bai Shihan. "This phone is for you. You'll need to get a SIM card yourself. I've already saved my number in it. If I'm not home, you can call me if anything happens." As I spoke, I took out a wad of cash from my pocket and placed it in front of her. "This is cash I just withdrew. Take the child out for a walk this afternoon if you're free. It's not good to always stay at home. Buy whatever you want, especially clothes. I see that both your and Nuan's clothes are quite small now. Also, get a bank card. Carrying cash isn't safe or convenient." I chattered on, saying everything I had on my mind in one breath. Bai Shihan looked up, staring intently at the man in front of her, listening to my rambling, her eyes slowly turning red. Seeing that Bai Shihan still hadn't taken the phone, I rubbed my nose helplessly. "Don't you like this phone?" "I bought it because I thought the color was nice and it's the latest model. If you don't like it, we can go buy one you do like." Bai Shihan shook her head, then looked at me deeply again. "No, I like it very much, thank you." Her voice was still very soft, carrying a slight tremor. Our eyes suddenly met. I uncomfortably looked away, but felt a sense of relief in my heart. "Good, I'm glad you like it. You're welcome. All right, I'm going to eat now." With that, I stood up and quickly walked to the dining table to eat heartily. In truth, Bai Shihan was still puzzled about where I got so much money to buy all these things, but since I didn't say anything, she naturally wouldn't ask. She picked up the new phone on the table and noticed that I had even bought earphones, a pair of pure white in-ear buds placed nearby. Nuan, having put down her toy, now leaned over, curiously looking at the new phone in her mother's hands. Bai Shihan instinctively raised her hand and stroked the little one's head. The mother and daughter looked at the phone and started studying it. At 5 p.m., the heat finally subsided outside. Bai Shihan sat on the sofa, contemplated for a while, then picked up the money on the table and led Nuan out of the house. Nuan hadn't been out for a very long time, and she loved playing outdoors. Before, Mommy never took her out, and Daddy didn't allow them to leave, so she was exceptionally happy this time. The little one held her doll with one hand and her mother's hand with the other, skipping and jumping all the way. Her big round eyes were constantly looking around. Everything outside felt new and exciting to her. Bai Shihan, however, was a little constrained. Her steps involuntarily quickened as she walked. Looking at the passers-by, she felt a sense of inferiority for some reason, especially because of the ill-fitting clothes she and Nuan were wearing, which made her feel like people's eyes would inadvertently look at them twice. The mall wasn't far. She vaguely remembered it was just 2 streets away. It was a bit different from the mall in her memory. In just 2 years, it seemed to have been renovated to be more exquisite. As soon as she entered, she saw a phone store with a counter for processing SIM cards. Bai Shihan hesitated for a moment, then led the child inside. After buying a SIM card, Bai Shihan also opened a bank account and deposited all the cash she had. After deducting the cost of the SIM card, she had 4,900 RMB left. I had given her a full 5,000. Holding the phone and bank card, Bai Shihan walked out of the bank. Looking at the tall buildings around her, she suddenly felt alive. Now she could take the child and leave. With the money she had, she could find a job to support herself and her child, and perhaps even pursue her dreams again. This sudden freedom made Bai Shihan stand still for a long time, until a tender child's voice rang out beside her. Mommy, can Nuan Nuan have an ice cream?" She snapped back to reality. Nuan Nuan, still holding her hand, was staring intently at an ice cream stand not far away, her mouth watering. Bai Shihan smiled, a smile so bright and radiant. "Yes, but you can only have one bite, or your tummy will hurt." "Okay, Nuan Nuan loves Mommy the most." The mother and daughter finally went out. I took a nice, long shower, completely unaware that Bai Shihan might not return. After showering, I started preparing dinner, the usual 2 meat dishes, 2 vegetable dishes, and a main course. I planned to make soup noodles tonight, but because I didn't know when they would return, I didn't make it right away, fearing the noodles would get soggy. After slicing the noodles and leaving them on the cutting board, I returned to the living room, flopped onto the sofa, and picked up my phone to browse parenting articles. I scrolled until I felt a bit sleepy. I checked the time in the upper right corner. It was already 7 p.m. Why haven't the mother and daughter returned yet? I suddenly sat up straight. No way, did something happen to them? Feeling nervous, I prepared to go out and look for them. Just as I opened the door, I ran right into them coming home. A sweet scent wafted in from the doorway. I was completely stunned. Bai Shihan was humming an unknown tune, her steps light, and the curve of her lips indicated she was in a very good mood. She was holding a few shopping bags. Nuan held the hem of her shirt with one hand, and the other still held the doll I had given her. The most stunning part was that both of them were wearing new, well-fitting clothes. Indeed, clothes make the man. After a single outing, the mother and daughter seemed to have suddenly transformed, to the point where I didn't dare to look at them directly. The next moment, Nuan sweetly rushed up to me and called out, "Daddy!" That one word almost sent my soul flying. I replied with a voice that even trembled, and my original nervous feeling instantly relaxed. I scooped up the adorable little one. He walked through the door first. "Daddy is going to make you noodles for dinner tonight, okay? With 2 eggs." "Good! Nuan likes eggs! Nuan loves Daddy the most!" Bai Shihan was frozen in the wind outside the door. The little one had just said she loved Mommy the most, and now she had betrayed her in the blink of an eye. Nuan didn't have to wait long. The noodles with eggs were ready quickly. I placed the noodles in front of her, gently flicked her little nose, and then habitually turned to walk towards the bedroom. Just as I turned around, the little one unexpectedly tugged at my leg. "Daddy, can you eat with Nuan?" The soft, gentle voice sounded again. I turned back and met Nuan's expectant gaze, feeling a little hesitant. I secretly glanced at Bai Shihan, who was sitting next to her. Bai Shihan didn't say anything or look at me. It was as if she hadn't heard Nuan's words and was busy slurping her noodles. I was a little speechless. This situation was really difficult to handle. "Just tell me straight, yes or no. What does this silence mean?" I could only try a tentative approach. "Then I'll stay and eat with Nuan, okay?" "Daddy, sit next to Nuan." Nuan answered by happily patting the empty space next to her. I rubbed my nose, the expression on my face a little unnatural, and brought another bowl of noodles from the kitchen, sitting down next to Nuan. Mommy sat on the left, and Daddy sat on the right. Nuan, embraced by both her parents for the first time, couldn't stop smiling. She even ate with special gusto, finishing the entire bowl of noodles completely. In the end, Bai Shihan had to stop her, fearing she would overeat, and only then did the little one give up. After dinner, Bai Shihan returned to the master bedroom alone. I could understand this. To let me sit at the table with them, Bai Shihan must have gone through a huge psychological struggle. I put myself in Bai Shihan's position and thought, if it were me, after suffering that kind of treatment in the past, trying to peacefully coexist with my enemy, I definitely couldn't do it. No, if it were me, the original host would definitely have been chopped up and fed to the dogs by now, with no body left to find. I stayed up and played with Nuan until 9 p.m. Nuan was so sleepy that her little head was nodding, but she still didn't want to go to sleep. During this time, I also noticed a very serious problem. Nuan was 3 years old now, but the little one still couldn't take off her shoes by herself. You have to know that a normal 3-year-old is old enough to start kindergarten. I knew this was due to the dysfunctional family environment before. and I couldn't rush it, but I still felt incredibly anxious. Bai Shihan walked out of the bedroom at this moment. She didn't speak, but just silently watched Nuan Nuan and me on the sofa. The meaning in her eyes was crystal clear. I picked Nuan Nuan up from the sofa, kissed her little face, and said with a smile, "Nuan Nuan, it's time for bed. Will Daddy play with you again tomorrow?" Nuan's nearly closed eyes opened slightly. She looked at my face, then turned to look at Bai Shihan, and then suddenly buried her little head into my neck. Nuan wants to sleep with Daddy tonight." The sudden words made me a little flustered, and also caused Bai Shihan's face to darken slightly. The silence in the air was awkward. I looked at Bai Shihan with an innocent expression. This was the little one's idea, it really wasn't me suggesting it. Bai Shihan secretly clenched her fist. "This little ingrate! All that time I spent taking care of her. And in just 2 days, she's been corrupted by the enemy's sugar-coated bullets." In the end, the little one got her way. Bai Shihan quickly washed her up, and the little one happily burrowed into Daddy's bed. Nuan hugged my neck like a koala, refusing to let go. I let her hold me like that. This was my first time coaxing a child to sleep. I remembered the parenting tips I saw online, so I gently told Nuan a bedtime story. This was Nuan's first time sleeping in Daddy's broad embrace. Daddy told Nuan a bedtime story for the first time. Daddy cooked for Nuan for the first time, bought Nuan a gift for the first time, and now there were 2 more first times. Nuan felt immensely satisfied and fell into a deep sleep. Early one morning, Nuan was still fast asleep. I still got up early and quietly pushed open the bedroom door to go to the living room for my morning run. The next moment I noticed that the ointment on the coffee table was gone. My eyes slowly lit up and a knowing smile appeared on my face. I left the house with a joyful mood today. Morning run, shower, and cooking. It took me a total of over 2 hours. After making breakfast, I had one more task today, waking up my daughter. Nuan was awakened by my gentle voice. She rubbed her clear, sleepy eyes, and the first moment she saw me, the little one stretched out her 2 soft, tender arms, a posture that clearly demanded a hug from Daddy. I immediately reached out and gently picked her up, helped her change into new clothes, and then carried her out to wash up. I had learned how to care for small children from videos, but theory is theory. Putting it into practice now, I realized how difficult it was. The little one's body was too delicate, and I didn't dare to use force, so the whole process seemed clumsy. Especially when tying the little one's hair, I felt completely inadequate. After fussing for a long time, I could only manage a crooked, messy ponytail. "Daddy is a big silly!" Nuan laughed at me, pouting her little mouth as she looked at her crooked hair in the mirror. I pinched her little nose, which made Nuan giggle and chuckle. Bai Shihan came out of the bedroom and saw this heartwarming scene between the father and daughter. She didn't say anything, but just silently walked into the kitchen and brought out breakfast. Perhaps even she didn't realize that the corner of her mouth had already curved into a slight smile unconsciously. After a simple breakfast, I didn't hand Nuan back to Bai Shihan. Instead, I continued to take Nuan to the sofa to play with the princess house. This time, while playing with Nuan, I subtly instilled some very simple numbers into her little head, the numbers from 1 to 10. After discovering Nuan's issue, I had secretly made a plan to slowly teach Nuan during playtime. Now, under my subtle guidance, she quickly remembered some of the knowledge. Also, I noticed that since Bai Shihan returned yesterday, she seemed to have suddenly become a different person. Although she was still quiet, there was clearly more spirit and vitality in her eyes than before. Just like now, she didn't return to the bedroom but sat on the other side of the sofa, fiddling with her phone, occasionally looking at us. This was a good sign, and it made me feel much better. Bai Shihan downloaded various phone apps while observing the interaction between the father and daughter. At this moment, she also realized that I was subtly educating Nuan. She watched quietly, a faint sweetness rising in her heart. She had wanted to teach her child for a long time, but with the difficult family environment before, they were struggling just to survive. How could she have the ability to teach Nuan like a normal mother? Bai Shihan looked back at the phone screen. Several apps had finished downloading. The moment Bai Shihan logged into her account, an unread message popped up. It was from her former assistant, Tao Lele, who had worked with her for 2 years. She had very few WeChat contacts. Besides me, there were a few people from her former company. Tao Lele's messages had been sent continuously from the time she got married until 2 days ago, mostly asking about her well-being. She just hadn't been able to reply. Looking at the string of messages, Bai Shihan felt a little warmth in her heart. She immediately replied, "Sorry, Lele, I haven't been able to reply to your messages. I'm doing well now, don't worry." Less than 2 seconds after sending the message, the other side instantly replied, "Sister Shihan, you're finally alive. I thought you didn't want to talk to me after you got married." Sister Shihan, you don't know? Ever since you disappeared, there have been so many rumors in the company, especially that annoying Liu Qian. She's been so arrogant these past 2 years, saying bad things about you to everyone, saying you deserved it. It's so infuriating. Seeing Lele's message, Bai Shihan pouted slightly. Liu Qian was right, I did deserve it. When she was at the company, she always outshone Liu Qian. It was only natural for Liu Qian to act this way after she retired. But my little assistant is as lively as ever. Lele, how have you been recently? Is life treating you well? Bai Shihan didn't respond to Lele's words, but asked about her current situation. Quote, "I'm very well, don't worry, Sister Shihan. I'm an unkillable cockroach. But I miss you, Sister Shihan. Will you ever make a comeback?" Bai Shihan paused, a flicker of longing in her eyes. "Will I ever make a comeback?" She turned to look at me, then at Nuan. A moment later, the longing in her eyes slowly faded. Probably not. "But Lele, if you miss me, we can find a time to meet up." "Okay, Sister Shihan, I have Saturday off this week." Bai Shihan smiled at this message. Then, she switched to Weibo. Her last post on Weibo was 2 years ago, her retirement announcement. Her original few 100,000 followers had now dropped to a few thousand. Besides the zombie fans, there were still some old fans who frequently left messages expressing their concern. She scrolled through the trending topics on Weibo, which were mostly about recent celebrity gossip, but a few posts were talking about a recently viral song. A mysterious singer with only one video gained over 1 million followers overnight. Who is he? Bai Shihan was very curious about what the recently viral song sounded like, so she clicked on the title. The post contained a long, effusive review from the blogger, all praising the song. A link was attached below. Bai Shihan clicked on the link. A familiar figure appeared on the screen, a familiar guitar melody started, and then a familiar singing voice echoed in the living room. The living room suddenly fell silent. Only the singing resonated in the ears of the 3 people. I awkwardly turned my head. Nuan's big eyes blinked, and she burrowed into Bai Shihan's arms, looking at the phone screen. Bai Shihan was completely stunned. This familiar voice, wasn't this the song that had been playing in the room 2 days ago? So, he was recording a video that day. Nuan was the first to speak. She pointed her small hand at the phone screen, looked up at Bai Shihan, her big eyes full of curiosity. "It's Daddy! Daddy is in the phone!" It's Daddy," Bai Shihan replied, stroking the little one's head. Only now did she understand why I had so much money to replace the furniture in the house. With millions of likes, how could I not have money? She turned her head to look at my sharply defined profile, her eyes filled with complex emotions. Nuan was even happier after getting her mother's answer, and she happily rushed back into my arms. Her 2 small, short hands cupped my face, her big eyes full of brightness. In a sweet baby voice, she said, "Daddy is so gentle. Nuan wants to sing too. Nuan wants to be on the phone." With those 2 soft little hands pressing against my face, my eyes slowly melted. I also cupped my daughter's small face with my 2 large hands and asked in a gentle voice, "Does Nuan like to sing too?" Nuan curved her big eyes and nodded without hesitation, her smile even brighter. "Good! Then Daddy will teach Nuan a song. When Nuan learns it, will you sing it into the phone, okay?" Nuan kept nodding her little head, then happily kissed my cheek hard. Rewarded, I beamed with joy. Under the little one's adoring gaze, I quickly ran back to the side room to grab my guitar. Back on the sofa, I held the guitar and tuned the strings. I turned my head and saw that both Bai Shihan and Nuan were staring at me unblinkingly. My face rarely flushed. Then I strummed the strings. Today, Daddy is going to write a children's song just for Nuan Nuan. Daddy will sing it once for Nuan Nuan to hear. The next time, Daddy will sing a line, and Nuan Nuan will follow, okay? Nuan Nuan happily nodded. Her two small, short hands tightly wrapped around my neck. Daddy, Nuan Nuan likes this! Daddy! Daddy, please don't change back to how you were before, okay? Nuan Nuan's soft voice rang in my ear. I pursed my lips and tears suddenly filled my eyes. I simply hugged Nuan Nuan tightly. Daddy will never be like that again. My voice was hoarse but firm. Bai Shihan couldn't see my expression at the moment, but she was already in tears, though her face wore a smile. I was the first to regain control of my emotions. I placed the guitar next to me, settled Nuan Nuan on my lap. Nuan Nuan, let's learn the song now. I'll sing one line, and you sing after Daddy, okay? Okay, Nuan Nuan agreed very quickly. The next period became a teaching session between the father and daughter. I slowly sang one line, and Nuan Nuan followed. A children's song truly sounds best when sung by a child. The lyrics sung by Nuan Nuan sounded much more genuine than when I sang them. For the entire morning, our singing echoed in the living room. Seeing us immersed in learning the song, Bai Shihan quietly went to make lunch. However, her cooking was visibly not as good as mine, which caused Nuan Nuan to constantly complain during the meal that she wanted to eat Daddy's cooking from now on. This made Bai Shihan jokingly glare at the little one, feeling secretly annoyed. The little ingrate was bought over in just 2 days. Nuan Nuan learned very quickly. In just 3 days, she sang even better than the original version. At Nuan Nuan's strong request, I also filmed a video of Nuan Nuan and posted it online. In the video, Nuan Nuan was wearing a pink princess dress and a bow on her head, her small body swaying with the music. She was incredibly adorable. I was all smiles while filming, my face beaming with pride. This is my daughter. Bai Shihan, who was watching the fun from the side, inadvertently saw my expression and almost choked from trying to suppress her laughter. This was the first time she had seen me look like this. During these 3 days, due to my good behavior, the relationship between Bai Shihan and me had eased considerably. At least, Bai Shihan would now actively speak a few sentences to me. No one expected that the second video from the memory loss account would be a children's song. The song was still an original, still very beautiful. Sure enough, the video's popularity was even more rapid this time. In just one afternoon, the like count reached 5 million, and the comments were ridiculously numerous. The next morning, I had just finished my morning run and was wiping my sweat as I pushed open the door, only to see Bai Shihan, wearing a newly bought strap nightgown, coming out of the bathroom. She had clearly just showered and was drying her hair, her face slightly flushed from the heat. The nightgown seemed a little large, and I could vaguely glimpse the fairness inside. This was the second time I had unexpectedly encountered her after her shower. I felt a bit awkward. We stared at each other. Bai Shihan instinctively covered her chest, her face flushing, even her earlobes turning red. Even though we had been married for over 2 years, the feeling now was like that of a young couple who had just gotten together. Morning! Bai Shihan tried her best to calm down and greeted me. Her steps towards the bedroom, however, sped up like a fleeing deer. Morning! I replied simply. Bai Shihan didn't say anything else, escaping into the bedroom. I smiled helplessly, hummed a tune, and walked into the bathroom. Shower, cooking, and waking up Nuan Nuan. The usual 3 steps. Bai Shihan also came out of the bedroom at this time. She had changed into a different outfit, looking youthful and vibrant, making it impossible to tell that she was the mother of a 3-year-old. This look made my eyes instantly light up. I nodded in approval. Now that's the vitality a woman in her 20s should have. She's just too thin. She would look even better if she gained a little weight. Bai Shihan was still a little nervous, her cheeks slightly red. This was the first time she had dressed up like this at home. She wondered if she looked good. She looked up at me, who was still tending to Nuan Nuan, and walked discreetly to the dining table to sit down. His eyes seemed to light up just now, so it means I must look good, right? Wait, why do I care about his opinion? Bai Shihan angrily puffed up her cheeks, carelessly stirring her chopsticks in the bowl. She was angry at her own lack of resolve. Just then, Nuan Nuan sweetly called out, "Mommy!" Then, she picked up her special small spoon and scooped up the golden millet porridge in front of her. "Can you come out with us today?" I was looking down, enjoying the food, when I suddenly heard Bai Shihan's question. I looked up at Bai Shihan, then pointed at my nose, asking in confusion, "Me?" Bai Shihan nodded without looking at me, but her earlobes were flushed a vibrant red. "Sure," I agreed very readily. So after eating, our family of 3 walked from the community to the street, and the rate of people looking back at us soared to 100%. Everyone was drawn to our stunning looks, and at the same time, they were curious why they had never seen such beautiful neighbors in the community before. Nuan held Daddy's hand with one hand and Mommy's with the other, skipping and jumping, her small face already blooming with smiles. She never thought that one day she could go out holding both her Daddy's and Mommy's hands, just like other children. At this moment, Nuan felt that her happiness was so great that even the big princess house couldn't contain it. Although the weather outside was a bit warm, the family of 3 didn't seem to notice. The smiles on their lips showed that they were all in a good mood at the moment. I hailed a taxi on the road, first carrying the little one into the back seat, and then very gentlemanly allowing Bai Shihan to sit in the back seat, closing the door for her. I myself sat in the front passenger seat. We were heading to the Yida Plaza in the city center today. Bai Shihan and her former assistant had agreed to meet at a milk tea shop there. The reason I brought Nuan and myself along was purely because the assistant wanted to see the little one, and Nuan had become my little shadow these past 2 days, inseparable from me. I was purely tagging along thanks to the little one. The car drove on the road. It took over 40 minutes from here to the city center. Nuan kept holding Bai Shihan's neck, looking out at the fleeting scenery. For the little one, this was her first long-distance trip, and everything felt new. The taxi driver first exclaimed at the family's good looks, and then suddenly felt that the little one in the back seat looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen her. So he kept talking to me, and I also chatted naturally with the uncle. The atmosphere in the car was no longer dull. The car soon reached its destination, Yida Plaza, the most prosperous area in Jiangcheng's city center. It wasn't far from Tao Leilei's workplace and residence. After 2 years, she was finally going to see Sister Shihan again. Tao Leilei was very excited. She bought a few cups of milk tea in advance and sat in her seat, constantly watching the entrance of the milk tea shop, her anticipation palpable. She had worked with Bai Xiang for 1.5 years, and they were like sisters. Bai Xiang was truly very good to her. It was just a pity that Bai Xiang got married. She didn't understand why Sister Shihan insisted on being with that man who seemed to be utterly useless. She couldn't understand and she couldn't advise her. The Bai Shihan back then seemed to have completely made up her mind and wouldn't listen to any advice. Tao Leilei's mind was wandering when she suddenly saw that familiar figure holding a bouncing little child walking into the shop entrance. Her eyes lit up and she suddenly stood up, waving her hand. "Sister Shihan! Over here!" Bai Shihan heard the voice, looked up, and saw Tao Leilei waving. A smile bloomed on her face. Leilei really hasn't changed, still so lively and cheerful. As they walked closer, their eyes were wet with emotion, besides joy. Meeting after a long separation, they both struggled to contain their feelings. Tao Leilei carefully looked Bai Shihan up and down, her eyes growing redder. She grabbed Bai Shihan's hand and her lips started to tremble. "Sister Shihan, you've lost so much weight. Is that man treating you badly? Where is he? I'll teach him a lesson." Bai Shihan pursed her lips, shook her head, sat down with Tao Leilei, and held Nuan beside her. Only then did she speak. "Leilei, don't worry, I'm doing well now. How about you? Was your work smooth after I left?" "I'm doing well too, Sister Shihan. You have no idea how much I've missed you." The two exchanged updates on their current situations. Nuan's big eyes looked curiously at the young aunt across from her. As they hadn't seen each other for a long time, the sisters naturally had a lot to talk about. After chatting for a while, Tao Leilei finally shifted her attention to the little one. The little girl had been quiet and well-behaved next to them. Tao Leilei had been focused on catching up with Bai Shihan and hadn't looked closely at her until now. As she took a good look, her eyes immediately lit up. Wow, Sister Shihan, is this Nuan Nuan? She looks so much like you, and she's so cute. Tao Lele said as she left her seat and crouched down in front of the little girl, her eyes shining. She reached out and touched the little one's cheek. Then, her brows slightly furrowed. The little one was as thin as Sister Shihan. Tao Lele was now extremely angry in her heart, certain that the useless man must be treating Sister Shihan and the child badly. Back then, Sister Shihan used to be plump and well-nourished when she took care of herself. She wouldn't be like this now. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. She now wished she could confront that man face to face, so she looked up at Bai Shihan. Sister Shihan, didn't you say he was coming too? Where is he? Bai Shihan could sense Tao Lele's hostility toward me, but she didn't know what to say. If she said I had changed, it would be equivalent to telling Tao Lele that I used to treat her badly. She didn't want others to know about this, especially Tao Lele, who was like a sister to her. She could only give an awkward smile. Nuan wanted ice cream, so he went to line up and buy ice cream for the child. Tao Lele naturally saw the expression on Bai Shihan's face, and she grew even angrier. Her sister Shihan was inherently gentle and serene, but now there was a trace of timidity mixed in with that gentleness and serenity. She could feel it. Fearing she would scare the child, Tao Lele could only let out a cold HMPF and return to her seat, secretly grinding her teeth, wishing I would drop dead. Sister Shihan. Tao Lele was about to speak, but suddenly stopped, her eyes becoming sharp as she looked toward the entrance of the milk tea shop. Bai Shihan was startled, her expression becoming even more awkward. She thought it was me coming that caused Lele to stop. Just as she was about to turn and look, a slightly high-pitched voice came from behind her. Tao Lele, you have time to drink milk tea? Have you finished the work I assigned you? Liu Qian, will you ever quit? Today is a day off. Tao Lele's face darkened like an angry kitten glaring fiercely at the speaker. Han Shihan turned around and finally saw the person, a woman with a graceful figure. She was wearing a baseball cap and a mask, and a hint of gold flashed in her long, slender willow eyes. Seeing her, Liu Chen raised her eyebrows in surprise. Isn't that Sister Shihan? Bai Shihan was slightly stunned. Liu Qihan was a popular young actress from her former company who also pursued the route of a powerhouse singer. However, at that time, Liu Qian had always been overshadowed by Bai Shihan. When Bai Shihan was at the company, Liu An had constantly addressed her as Sister Shihan. Bai Shihan understood that when people leave, the tea gets cold, so she didn't care much. Oh, isn't this Sister Shihan? Sister Shihan, why aren't you obediently staying at home, being a good wife and mother? What are you doing out looking for Lele? Liu Qian's eyes held a smile, but her words were full of mockery. She had just come out to shop and unexpectedly ran into Tao Lele meeting Bai Shihan. Bai Shihan hadn't said anything yet, but Tao Lele next to her was already furious. Liu Qian, mind your own business. It's not a workday now, so stop with the passive-aggressive remarks. Sister Shihan, let's go. There's a stray dog barking here, and it'll only ruin our mood. Tao Lele finished speaking, picked up Nuan and pulled Bai Shihan's hand, ready to leave. Unexpectedly, Liu Qian blocked them first, her eyes somewhat gloomy. She looked at Bai Shihan, raised her eyebrows slightly, and smiled again. Hey, Sister Shihan, why are you so thin? Are you having a tough time? If you are, just let your little sister know, and I can spare you some change. Who told me to be kind-hearted? Look, Lele is working under me now, and isn't she doing fine? Right, Lele? Tao Lele's face was ashen. She stared silently at Liu Qian. Bai Shihan abruptly turned her head to look at Tao Lele, her eyes filled with disbelief. Lele is working under Liu Qian? Didn't she tell me she was still working as someone's assistant and that her job was going well? She knew that working under someone meant doing manual labor. How could the company let Lele do that? However, now was clearly not the time to ask. Bai Shihan turned her head, but her gaze toward Liu Qian was now filled with anger. Her fists were tightly clenched. She could tolerate being bullied herself, but bullying Lele was unacceptable. Just as she was about to speak, Tao Lele spoke first. The contract I signed with the company expires at the end of the month. I will resign then. I just hope some people climb high so they fall harder. If Sister Shihan were to make a comeback, some people would probably wake up screaming from nightmares. Liu Qian was stunned when she heard this. She did have a bit of a complex about Bai Shihan. After all, Bai Shihan had overshadowed her for a year and a half. Liu Qian quickly laughed. She looked at Bai Shihan with disdain. A comeback? Haha, that's the funniest joke I've ever heard. What company would dare sign an outdated artist with a child like that? Speaking of children, Bai Shihan, your child looks pretty good. You might consider training her to become the next popular young star. Liu Qian spoke with utter contempt. She even impulsively reached out to pinch Nuan's small face. Stop! Stop! Take your dirty hand off her. I guarantee if you dare to touch her, you'll regret it so much you won't know where to cry. Two voices sounded simultaneously. One was Bai Shihan's, and the other, a deep male voice, came from the entrance of the milk tea shop. It was me. I quickly walked up to Bai Shihan, handed the ice cream to the three of them, and then faced Liu Qian, shielding Bai Shihan and Nuan behind me. My voice was cold. Who are you? Liu Qian was startled, and she involuntarily took 2 steps back. However, she collected herself, and when she looked at me, she suddenly laughed. Oh, it's this pretty boy, the useless trash. I thought it was someone important. So it's you. What, are you planning to hit someone in a public place? I frowned, looked back at Bai Shihan, my eyes questioning, clearly asking her where this shrew came from. She's a singer from my former company. I didn't expect to run into her here. The angry me might not frighten others, but Bai Shihan was a little scared. Seeing Bai Shihan like this, my frown deepened, and I sighed inwardly. I turned my head and stared down at Liu Qian. Singer? Sorry, I haven't heard of you, and I don't know you. All I know is that you're blocking our way. Please move aside. I spoke very seriously, with nothing wrong with my words. However, to Liu Qian, they were incredibly jarring. So her voice became sharper. Hehe, you should know your place. Do you think I don't know that you constantly fawn over Gaocheng and Zhubin from Flower Boys, inviting them out to drink every day? And now you're pretending to be a big shot in front of me? Gaocheng, Zhubin? I thought carefully about the 2 names and finally remembered who they were. They were members of the boy band the original host belonged to. After retiring, the original host wanted to make a comeback and did frequently invite them out for drinks to butter them up. But they always ignored him. However, that was what the previous me did. What does it have to do with me? I'm not familiar with those 2 people you mentioned either. Excuse me, a good dog doesn't block the road. If you keep bothering us, don't blame me for calling security. Yida Plaza, as the largest commercial complex in Zhangcheng, definitely wouldn't allow anyone to cause trouble here. Liu Qian was speechless. She glared fiercely at me, constantly cursing me under her breath, but still obediently moved aside. I took Bai Shihan's hand, motioned for Tao Lele to follow, and walked straight out. Just as we passed Liu Kan, she suddenly spoke to Bai Shihan. Tisk, too bad. Some people can never sing again. Bai Shihan, my new song is being released on Huayan at the end of this month. Haha. Liu Qian then started to laugh happily. How can you compare to me, Bai Shihan? Liu Qian's grating voice echoed in the ears of the 3. Tao Lele wanted nothing more than to rush up and slap her, knowing that Sister Shihan loved to sing but couldn't now, saying that was adding insult to injury. My steps also paused slightly. I gave Liu Qian a deep look, then continued walking out expressionlessly. Bai Shihan didn't speak, just gently pursed her lips. However, at that moment, a tender child's voice suddenly rang out, clear and firm. Mommy sings better than you. You're a bad auntie. It was Nuan. She waved her small hand, pouted her mouth, her small face covered in an angry expression. Mommy's singing is naturally good. Nuan has heard Mommy sing lullabies, and it's even better than Daddy's. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one expected the little girl to speak up for her mother at that moment. I only paused for a second. Then I smiled slightly and rubbed the little one's head. Amazing! That's my daughter! Much better than her punching bag mother! I was still a little angry, but the moment Nuan spoke, my anger was immediately thrown out the window. My eyes and heart were filled entirely with this little one. Ignoring Liu Qian's reaction, we arrived at a restaurant around noon. I held the child and walked in first, welcomed by the server. Bai Shihan and Tao Lele were chatting behind me. Tao Lele clearly didn't like me, occasionally rolling her eyes at me. If my behavior just now hadn't been relatively decent, she wouldn't have wanted to speak to this man at all. The group sat down. I handed the menu to Bai Shihan and Tao Lele. After they ordered a few simple dishes, I also ordered some of Nuan's favorites and returned the menu to the server. Bai Shihan continued to chat with Tao Lele. Earlier, while they were walking on the street, there were some things she was worried about but hadn't asked. Now that they were finally seated, and there were no outsiders around, she held Tao Lele's hand and finally asked the question that had been on her mind. "Lele, how did you end up working for Liu Qian? And what about Sister Yun? What is she doing now?" Sister Yun was Bai Shihan's former agent, close to 40 years old, and had always treated her very well, like a daughter. Hearing Bai Shihan's question, Tao Lele's expression was visibly downcast. "After you left, Sister Yun was fired not long after. She looked for a job for a long time but couldn't find one. Later, her mother got sick and was hospitalized, and she needed to constantly take care of her mother, so she could only find a job as a nanny." Bai Shihan didn't expect that Sister Yun would be reduced to such a state. Her eyes were a little unfocused. She could vaguely see Sister Yun's decisive and capable manner when she worked. Both women fell silent. The atmosphere became somewhat heavy. After talking about Sister Yun, Bai Shihan and Tao Lele didn't even have much appetite for eating. After a quick meal, Tao Lele chatted with Bai Shihan for a bit longer, then left in a hurry. Bai Shihan's mood remained very low. Originally, the family of 3 had planned to take Nuan to the amusement park in the afternoon, but she now didn't even feel like playing. I could naturally sense her mood and wanted to say something, but in the end, I didn't. In truth, I also didn't understand why Bai Shihan had been so infatuated as to marry the original host. Bai Shihan wanted to go home. She wanted some quiet time alone. However, when she saw Nuan's expectant eyes, she couldn't bring herself to disappoint her. To avoid disappointing Nuan, the family of 3 still ended up at the amusement park. The little one was very happy. This was her first time at an amusement park. She grabbed my hand and wanted to rush inside, pulling hard. Bai Shihan also managed to pull herself together somewhat. She didn't want Nuan's memory of her first amusement park trip to be a sad one. We first experienced the carousel, then took Nuan on the Snail Special Forces ride. After playing a few more attractions, the sky gradually darkened. The amusement park lights came on in bright colors. A castle that looked like it belonged in a fairy tale slowly appeared before us. The appearance of the castle immediately captivated Nuan's attention. She stared at it intently, her big eyes filled with excitement. Perhaps she was thinking about whether she too would one day live in a castle like a princess. The last ride was the Ferris wheel. This Ferris wheel allowed either 2 or 3 people to share a cabin. By the time I carried Nuan and Bai Shihan opened the door and sat inside, Nuan had already fallen asleep in my arms. If it weren't for the fireworks show, Bai Shihan and I would have already taken the little one home. The Ferris wheel slowly ascended. What I didn't know was that this was also Bai Shihan's first time at an amusement park, and her first time on a Ferris wheel. She looked out of the cabin window with curiosity, her eyes sparkling. She looked out the window, and I looked at her. Perhaps sensing my gaze, her earlobes slowly turned red, and she shot me a charming side eye. It was the first time I had seen that kind of look, and it made me feel a bit overwhelmed. The next moment, fireworks shot up into the sky from various points within the castle, almost simultaneously. At the moment the fireworks exploded, I clearly saw a breathtaking smile appear on Bai Shihan's face. It was a genuine smile that left me somewhat mesmerized. The Ferris wheel slowly rose to its highest point. The fireworks were clearer, and Bai Shihan's flushed face was even more captivating. "You don't have to be afraid anymore." Amidst the sound of the fireworks, my voice was slightly soft. Bai Shihan didn't hear clearly. She turned her face to look at me. I didn't look at her, continuing to watch the beautiful fireworks in the sky. You are too gentle. That's not good. You'll be bullied. You don't have to be afraid like you were before. I know. You want to sing. I also know there are many things you want to do. Go ahead and do them. I'll take care of Nuan Nuan. Bai Shihan didn't respond. When she turned her face to me, 2 streams of glistening tears were already running down her cheeks. She pursed her lips, staring intently at me with her almond eyes swimming in tears. The intense mixture of distress and complexity in her gaze seemed to be trying to drown me. I instantly became nervous. What's wrong? Why is she suddenly crying? Who are you? CBAI, Shihan stared closely at me. Her almond eyes were watery. Her crisp voice wasn't loud, but it struck my heart with such force. I was stunned. The air gradually fell silent. It seemed as if even the sound of the fireworks had disappeared. After a long while, I smiled gently at her and then spoke, my voice suddenly a little hoarse. I am Jiang Chengyi. Bai Shihan continued to look at me. She felt her heart suddenly flutter, like a deer caught off guard. My answer was something she had never imagined. She sniffled, looking at my clear, shining eyes, and her tears suddenly fell faster. She hugged her knees and buried her head down, quietly sobbing. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a little girl in an orphanage. She was very timid, but there was an older brother, 1 year older than her, who always protected her in the orphanage. One day, she was bullied by a group of older, mean boys. That brother shielded her, never letting her be hurt even a little. At that time, in her eyes, that brother, 1 year older than her, was her whole world. But after that, the brother disappeared. Later, when she grew up, she saw that brother again and married him, just as she had wished. I was speechless after listening. I finally understood some things now. Bai Shihan raised her head, her eyes misty with tears. She looked so lonely and pitiful. She had finally spoken the secret in her heart. No one understood her stubbornness. Everyone felt she was making a poor choice, but she alone firmly believed she was worthy. Yet, the outcome was so terrible. She had regretted it countless times until the present me appeared. That was enough. Bai Shihan could no longer hold back. She rushed directly into my arms, vying with Nuan Nuan for a spot, quietly sobbing. Nuan was woken up. With hazy eyes, she looked confusedly at her mother occupying her spot. The little one only paused for a moment, then joyfully hugged Daddy with one hand and Mommy with the other, giving 2 loud smacks of kisses on our cheeks. Today is Nuan Nuan's best day ever. I looked at the big and small beauties in my arms and suddenly broke into a helpless smile. The trajectory of life was moving in a good direction. That was enough. However, some plans would need to be changed. The fireworks gradually ceased, and the Ferris wheel slowly descended to the ground. After getting off the Ferris wheel, Bai Shihan left my embrace. She seemed to instantly return to her usual cold attitude toward me. Was the one who just cried in my arms a ghost then? Bai Shihan was very nervous. Even the hand holding Nuan Nuan was tight. She felt her earlobes and cheeks were hot. She had stayed in my arms for so long, and even rubbed against me like a little girl. It's maddening. Thinking of this, Bai Shihan's steps involuntarily quickened, as if she were race walking. I didn't know why this woman suddenly had so much energy. I had to almost jog to keep up with her pace. It wasn't until we left the amusement park gate that I noticed Bai Shihan had no intention of stopping. I had to call out to halt her. Hey, are you planning to walk all the way home? Let's take a taxi here. Only then did Bai Shihan stop. She stood by the roadside but didn't look at me. After returning home, I carried Nuan Nuan back to the room, settled her down, and came out. Bai Shihan was already washing up in the bathroom. I didn't stop but walked straight into the kitchen. She hadn't eaten much at noon. She must be hungry now, right? I thought to myself. I rummaged through the refrigerator and finally decided it would be simpler to just make some noodles. Bai Shihan was indeed very hungry. She hadn't felt like eating at noon, had been playing all afternoon, and had cried tonight. She was now famished. He had just quickly washed up, thinking of coming out to do something. Pushing open the bathroom door, he saw that I was already busy in the kitchen. A wave of warmth filled Bai Shihan's heart. She casually walked over to the sofa and sat down, her gaze fixed on the tall, slender figure in the kitchen. He looked surprisingly good. Bai Shihan suddenly thought to herself. The next moment, she covered her face, not daring to look anymore. What is wrong with me today? I'm already a mother. Why am I acting like a shy maiden? Bai Shihan, you're becoming more embarrassing. Dinner is ready. When I brought out the finished noodles, I saw her on the sofa, practically twisted into a knot of noodles. I didn't think much of it, just softly called out to her. Hearing my voice, Bai Shihan's body clearly tensed up. Then she nonchalantly removed the hand covering her face, nodded, and walked to the dining table. Thank you. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, but she lowered her head to eat as if nothing had happened. In a short while, Bai Shihan finished the bowl of noodles, not even leaving any soup behind. She put down her chopsticks but didn't get up, just sitting quietly in the chair until I finished eating and stood up, preparing to clear the dishes. Only then did she rise somewhat flustered, quickly picking up the bowls and chopsticks from the table. I'll clean up. Her voice was still very soft but pleasant to hear. It turned out she had been waiting all along. I didn't argue with her. We were family, and I felt there was no need to be so polite. When I came out after a comfortable hot shower, Bai Shihan had already returned to the bedroom. I turned off the living room light and quickly headed to the bedroom as well. Today was the latest I had stayed up since coming to this world. At 6 a.m., the early birds began a new day. I woke up on time as usual. Morning run, shower, cooking, and waking up nuan. The whole routine was completed. Just then, Bai Shihan also got out of bed, walking across the living room with a slightly flushed face to the bathroom to wash up. Do you want to sing again? Hearing my voice, Bai Shihan paused slightly, taking a long moment to respond. I stood leaning on the bathroom doorframe with my phone, quietly waiting for her answer. A moment later, her soft voice finally reached my ears, sounding like just one word. She didn't elaborate. In Bai Shihan's heart, her current life was already something she hadn't dared to imagine in the past 2 years, and singing was a distant dream that could only be buried deep inside. I didn't ask again. I just nodded and took my phone back to the side room. I opened the account backend and started scrolling through my private messages. My private message inbox had already exploded. I had only briefly skimmed through them after the first video was posted and hadn't looked since. Finding anything now was difficult, but I patiently scrolled the screen, filtering through the messages one by one. Finally, my eyes suddenly lit up, and I clicked on one of the private messages, reading the content of the message. Yinhai Entertainment sincerely invites you to join our company. With your musical talent, we will quickly build you into a top-tier superstar. The private message ended with Yinhai Entertainment's contact number. I didn't hesitate. I entered Yinhai Entertainment's contact number and dialed. The phone rang only a few times before it was answered. A mature, commanding voice came through the receiver. Hello, may I ask who this is? Hello, my account name is Memory Loss. I received an invitation message from your company. Is now a good time to talk? At the headquarters of Douyin in Modu, Yang Chenglin received the call, her expression slightly startled. She suddenly realized who it was, and a joyful look couldn't help but appear on her face. Hello, Mr. Memory Loss. Are you interested in joining Yinhai Entertainment? Yang Chenglin was secretly thrilled but quickly replied. However, my answer made Yang Chenglin pause again. Hello, Department Head Yang. I'm sorry, but I temporarily have no intention of venturing into the entertainment industry. But I would like to recommend a singer to you. I wonder if your company would be interested. Hearing this, Yang Chenglin couldn't help but feel disappointed. What she wanted was Memory Loss, the guy who had inherent popularity and whose 2 songs had gone viral across the internet. Mr. Memory Loss, this is the thing. I am only a deputy department head. If it were you coming, with your reputation, I could fully make the decision myself. But if it's someone else, I'm afraid I don't have the authority to agree immediately. I can guarantee you that she is a very talented singer, and I will write songs for her. Furthermore, if your company needs songs in the future, I can be Yinhai Entertainment's music producer. However, there will definitely be conditions. Don't come to me to write songs for just anyone. I won't write for people I don't respect. If you agree, we can discuss the specific details later. What do you think? My tone was light as I spoke over the phone. Hearing this, Yang Chenglin was tempted. However, the company was not her sole decision-making domain. She still had to report to her superiors. Mr. Memory Loss, this is not something I can decide alone. How about this? I'll discuss it with the company and get back to you, whether it works out or not. I will reply to you as soon as possible. Okay, I look forward to your reply. After hanging up, I opened the door and walked out of the side room. Nuan was still playing obediently with her toys, occasionally murmuring something. Bai Shihan had finished washing up and was sitting at the dining table eating. Just then, the door was suddenly knocked. Hearing the sound, I looked at Bai Shihan in confusion, but she also looked at me with a bewildered expression. Bai Shihan and I were both orphans, and no one had ever come to visit our home in years. Who could it be? The knocking persisted, and the sound grew louder. Clearly, the person outside was becoming more forceful because they weren't getting a response. I got up, just about to open the door, when the people outside suddenly shouted, "Xiao Jiang! Open the door! I know you're home. I'm your brother Gao. Didn't you text us every day inviting us out for drinks? We're here, and your brother Shu is here too. Open the door." Hearing those two despicable voices, my face completely darkened. Bai Shihan's face also changed, and she frowned, looking toward the door with disgust. Nuan had already put down her toys and run into Bai Shihan's arms. The violent knocking had scared her. I happened to see this scene as I turned around. My face grew even darker, almost murderous. I had spent so many days coaxing my little darling, and these two dared to scare her like this? Unforgivable. I opened the door and made a shooing gesture. Talk outside. Before Gao Cheng and Xu Bin could react, I grabbed one by the arm and started walking outside. When Gao Cheng and Xu Bin finally realized what was happening and angrily tried to pull free, they found my strength surprisingly great. They couldn't break free, no matter how hard they struggled. I walked them all the way out of the building to the community pathway before letting go of them. You came from where? Go back there. Gao Cheng and Xu Bin's faces were flushed. They had promised Sister Qian that they would handle this, and now they were being thwarted, but my strength just now had scared them. They hesitated to act rashly for a moment. Don't you want to know why we came looking for you? Gao Cheng asked. Xu Bin, perhaps afraid I would refuse again, quickly chimed in after Gao Cheng. We came to invite you back to the boy band. Didn't you always want to come back? Didn't you say Bai Shihan ruined your career? Now we can help you come back, but you have to divorce Bai Shihan. How about that? Simple, right? I glanced at them. Are you done talking? If you're done, get lost. Seeing you two really ruins my morning. I feel like throwing up my breakfast. Go back and tell your boss not to try to harass Bai Shihan, otherwise, heh. After saying that, I ignored the two fools and turned to walk back. Looking at my retreating back, Gao Cheng and Xu Bin's faces were alternating between pale and red. They thought this would be a piece of cake, but they failed. Both of them had accepted money for this. Xu Bin was still unwilling. Brother Gao, are we just going to let him go? Gao Cheng irritably replied. What else do you suggest? It's strange. He seems like a completely different person all of a sudden. So much strength. Let's go back. Since we messed up, we'll have to think of another way later. Xu Bin sighed in defeat, and the two turned to leave. I walked back home with light steps. The two darlings at home breathed a sigh of relief when they saw me. They left. They won't come again, I said lightly, reaching out to pick up Nuan and sitting down on the sofa. Watching me casually playing with toys with Nuan, Bai Shihan finally turned around and lowered her head to continue eating. The warmth in the home was restored. This little incident was quickly forgotten by the three of us. Unlike my situation, Gao Cheng and Xu Bin were having a terrible time. After being humiliated by me, they were then severely humiliated by Liu Qian. They had guaranteed Liu Qian that they could persuade me, but instead, they were directly driven away. This made the two hate me even more. In the evening, Bai Shihan took Nuan out to buy groceries. I was alone at home when I received a call from Yang Chenglin. As soon as the call connected, her pleasant, commanding voice sounded immediately. Mr. Memory Loss, we have discussed it. We can let the person you recommended join the company. However, the higher-ups still want to see your composing abilities. I wonder if that would be convenient. I didn't think too much and immediately said, Composing, you say? That's fine. My answer was simple and direct. My mind contained the culture of an entire world, so naturally, I wasn't afraid of the challenge. Yang Chenglin was initially quite anxious, but hearing memory loss agree so readily gave her some relief. She had been busy with this matter all day. She loved the 2 songs I had written and believed in my talent. However, the higher-ups were still somewhat skeptical. After all, no one knew how long I had worked on those 2 songs. Perhaps they were the result of a very long preparation. If memory loss could solve this difficulty, the company would no longer doubt me. Mr. Memory Loss, can we meet in person to discuss the specifics? We still need you to come over for an on-site composition and lyric writing session. Yang Chenglin said very sincerely. She also wanted to see what this mysterious person looked like, since I never showed my face in the videos. I thought about it. I had nothing much to do at home besides taking care of the child. So I readily agreed. When and where? Modu. If possible, tomorrow would be best. After all, the sooner the better for you. Hearing Yang Chenglin say this, my impression of this mature woman improved. After all, few people would consider others so much. Most prioritize the company's interests. Okay, tomorrow it is. Seeing memory loss agree so quickly. Yang Chenglin also let out a deep breath. Then her tone clearly relaxed. Then set the specific time and text me. Use this number, I'll be there on time tomorrow to pick you up. Then text message it is, goodbye. I agreed. After the call ended, I started researching flights to Modu. I finally booked a ticket for 10 a.m. the next day. I closed my eyes and rested. When Bai Shihan returned with Nuan Nuan, she saw me sound asleep. She quickly put a finger to her lips and gently shushed Nuan Nuan. Bai Shihan quietly carried the groceries into the kitchen. Nuan Nuan walked up to the sofa and gently nestled into my arms. In my dream, I only felt a small kitten constantly rubbing against my face. The soft little paws kneading my face felt incredibly comfortable. Suddenly, the kitten used its 2 small paws to cover my nose. I was slightly breathless and woke up abruptly. Giggle, giggle. Nuan Nuan's laughter echoed in my ears. It turned out to be my precious daughter. Daddy, dinner is ready. Okay. I smiled warmly, suddenly feeling that this kind of life was very good. On the table were a plate of crispy fried pork, a plate of shredded potatoes, and a bowl of tomato and egg drop soup. They looked very appetizing. Bai Shihan then walked out of the kitchen, carrying 2 bowls of rice. She looked at me and said softly, I saw you were still sleeping, so I made dinner. Although it's not as delicious as yours, I tasted it, and it's not bad. I picked up Nuan Nuan and stood up. I think it looks great. The color, aroma, and taste are all there. It makes me hungry just looking at it. Hearing my praise, Bai Shihan was a little shy. As the family ate, I looked at Bai Shihan and said, by the way, I need to go out for a trip tomorrow. I don't know how many days I'll be gone. Hearing my words, Bai Shihan was suddenly choked and couldn't stop coughing. I quickly handed her a tissue, my face filled with concern. Bai Shihan took the tissue. Hearing that I was suddenly going out, she was indeed a little flustered. She didn't know if she should ask me where I was going. A week ago, she had been trying to escape, but now, hearing that I was leaving, she subconsciously didn't want me to go. It was Nuan Nuan who asked, where is Daddy going? Nuan Nuan pouted, her face full of reluctance. Daddy is going to find a job for Mommy. That way, you can hear Mommy sing often in the future. Are you happy? Nuan Nuan was young and didn't know what a job was. But she remembered often hearing her mother sing, so she was very happy. Mommy will sing for Nuan Nuan often. Satisfied? I rubbed her little head, then looked at Bai Shihan. I'm sorry, I decided this for you without asking for your opinion. Nuan Nuan said you like to sing, and I thought you must like it. I didn't tell you before because the deal wasn't finalized. Now the company has asked me to come over to talk. If this works out, you can make a legitimate comeback and continue to sing. Yin Hai Entertainment should be a good company. He's letting me sing? Bai Shihan instinctively looked at me. They made eye contact, and Bai Shihan's clear eyes suddenly misted over with tears, her eyes slightly red. Thank you, Jiang Chengyi. I love to sing. I quickly replied, you don't need to thank me. It's enough that you like it. The next day, I took a plane to Modu. As soon as I got off the plane, I felt the hustle and bustle of Modu. I looked out at the large crowd holding signs, searching for my name. Before coming, I had arranged the time with Yang Chenglin. She would meet me at the exit. There were too many people holding signs, many of them fans meeting celebrities, so it took me a long time to finally spot a tall woman in a professional suit. She was indeed the mature, commanding type. I can only say her voice matched her appearance. I quickly walked up and waved to her. "Hello, are you Department Head Yang? I'm memory loss, and my real name is Jiang Chengyi. Sorry to keep you waiting." Yang Chenglin looked at the person in front of her, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. She knew I was young, but she didn't expect me to be so young and to have a face that perfectly fit the profile of a star. Yang Chenglin wished she could sign me. How great would that be? "Hello, I am Yang Chenglin. I just arrived myself." Yang Chenglin had a professional smile on her face. "Let's go this way. There are too many people here. My car is parked in the underground parking lot. It's lunchtime now, so let's find a place to eat first." We drove to a specialty restaurant. While waiting for the dishes to be served, after Yang Chenglin finished ordering, she finally brought up the official business. "I'll call you Mr. Jiang. Mr. Jiang, who are you recommending this time? An assistant or a professional singer?" I don't know if Department Head Yang has heard of Bai Shihan. She was a singer, but she retired later. Now you could say she's making a comeback. Yang Chenglin frowned. She had heard Bai Shihan's songs. She was a popular young star 2 years ago, and her singing skills were indeed very good. However, the reason for her frown was that Bai Shihan had been forced to retire because her relationship was exposed, and her partner seemed to be a useless man. This made the situation difficult to handle. Yang Chenglin thought for a moment, then looked directly at me. "I don't know if Mr. Jiang knows what her relationship with him is. Do you know why she retired before?" I looked into Yang Chenglin's eyes. "She is my wife." Even the seasoned Yang Chenglin couldn't help but be shocked when she heard my answer. "Wife? You're the legendary useless man? Are you kidding me?" Seeing Yang Chenglin's expression, I guessed what she was thinking and couldn't help but smile wryly. "You guessed correctly. I am the Jiang who was exposed with her back then and retired with her."